Welcome to the DigiShares Connect webinar. We do this twice every year. My name is Klaus. I'm the CEO, one of the co-founders. Today we have an exciting program for you. The idea of this event is basically to speak about what we're doing in DigiShares, status on different activities, and how we view the economy or the market developing, as well as future initiatives that we are working on. And we will have different presentations today from both the employees, some of my colleagues, but also some of our clients and some of our partners. Initially, I will start giving a brief update on tokenization, what it is, what are the benefits, and so on, and what is our positioning in the industry, and what are we working on generally. Then Adam, our product manager, will take over and give a product demo, a brief product demo, to speak about what are new developments, new functionalities in the product itself. Then Martin, our lead developer on the real estate.exchange side, will give a demo of the real estate.exchange product that we are working on, and hopefully will launch in October in the US. I'm looking forward to that a lot. We have a lot of focus on that, and a lot of view of the future of DigiShares, and the I think tokenization market will depend on that becoming a success. Then Anne, our legal counsel, will give a presentation on the more legal regulatory activities that we're working on, that she is working on, the European Union Blockchain Sandbox, the different licenses that we are working on taking out for the exchange. And then towards the end, two of our clients will present. One is InvestBay. They're replacing another client that was supposed to speak, called DevX, an Indian client but the guy who was going to speak, Umesh, unfortunately had an accident, and he had to cancel his participation today. So instead, we are presenting another client called InvestBay, and we will, you'll hear more about them later. Then at the end, a client from Dubai, from UAE, called Tokeninvest, will present as well on their project and their strategy, and discuss what they've been doing. So that's really the agenda, and we, as you can see, there's a Q&A function in the webinar meeting room, and please use that to ask your questions. So it's easy for us to see them. Please don't write them in the chat, because they will drown in text and be difficult for us to see. So please put them in the Q&A, and we will make sure that they are answered. The webinar is also recorded, so it will be possible to see it afterwards, and everyone will be able to see it that could not participate. And that's pretty much it. So I think with that said, I will give the first presentation. Let's share my screen. And just a second. So I hope that my screen is visible. I'll be giving a general introduction to DigiShares and what we're doing. So of course, we are a provider of infrastructure, white label technology for the tokenization space. We provide a white label tokenization platform with end-to-end functionality for token lifecycle management, investor lifecycle management. So it has a lot of functionality to mint tokens, issue tokens, onboard investors, buy tokens, invest in tokens, present deals, pay out distributions in crypto and fiat, facilitate trading, and so on. So a lot of functionality that can be configured and customized in many different ways. It's basically, I would say, a highly customizable system with many options. It can be used out of the box as is and set up in a week or two, but it can also be highly customized in many ways and integrated into our systems. It can be used in different ways. We are highly focused on compliance. We have a network of more than 80 legal firms across the world. In fact, we have clients in more than 40 countries, so we cover extremely widely, and we are generally quite aware and on top of regulatory developments across the world. And we can sort of, even though we are not a legal firm, of course, we can give some high-level legal guidance on jurisdictional selection and sort of pros and cons across the world for selecting the best jurisdictions for tokenization. And then, of course, a lot of our focus right now is turned towards launching realestate.exchange. We believe it'll be the world's first exchange for tokenized real estate assets, and we have big plans for it, as you will hear later in the presentation. Tokenization, of course, is the concept of tokenizing some kind of security or asset representing the ownership rights or the beneficial rights for the token on the chain, giving you the ability to transact with these tokenized securities, similar to what you can do with cryptocurrencies, much more efficiently, much more transparently, and with massively lower costs without intermediaries. You can do peer-to-peer trading with atomic swap. You can self-custody, and you can trade directly in a peer-to-peer fashion with other users. So you can get much more control and flexibility. You can automate, you can reduce costs, you can make your assets liquid. If you make them liquid, you make them worth 20 to 30% more. This is sort of a well-known industry fact. You can open up for retail and institutional investors, and longer term, you can also allow your real estate-backed tokens to be used as collateral for DeFi lending. This is not really possible yet to any significant degree, but once we have made the first tokens liquid and tradable, then it will become possible, at least when we have sort of resolved the legal concerns in relation to it. We see two major trends converging. The number of sort of retail real estate investors across the world is growing quite fast every year. More and more people are understanding that it's important and attractive for them to diversify into real estate. Right now, they are investing into REITs, that are publicly traded real estate funds, but hopefully soon they will also see that they can invest into real estate-backed tokens as another option. The other trend we see is the growth of active wallets on the chain. This is also growing steadily as Web3 adoption increases. The subsection of these two trends are users, of course, that will be familiar with tokenization, will easily be able to use it, and will also find it interesting and attractive. And we believe this subsection or intersection is growing exponentially right now. We are not the only one to believe it. Many of the big financial services companies believe the same and are actually investing heavily into the space, doing their own POCs, acquiring or investing into companies in the space, and generally heating it up and making it very hot at the moment with a lot of interest in getting into the space and sort of understanding what tokenization is and getting your own experience with it to not be left over when the technology moves forward. So we think that the future will be sort of I would say bright for tokenization. We believe that everyone in a few years, actually in maybe quite a short time, will have wallets. The banks will support and provide wallets. It'll be a natural extension to their existing accounts to also support custody of cryptocurrencies, especially stable coins like USDC or the new EuroC, stable coins that are regulated and supported and sort of licensed by the different regions to be provided and to be used as currencies for normal payments. So we think that wallets will become something that everyone will use. It'll become extremely easy to manage and to use, and everyone will have one in a few years. And also, of course, we'll have the CBDCs, the national stable coins that will be put out over the next few years that will also operate on the chain. So obviously, tokenization will just become standard infrastructure and very easy for everyone to use, and hopefully the way that everything will be transacted with. And of course, it'll fade away as a term and just become the way of doing things. So this is the future we see and the future that we are preparing for and building infrastructure for. Early adopters of the technology already now will, of course, become extremely well prepared for the change when it will happen in a short time, and will be hopefully better able to compete and to prepare for the future competition. For instance, one of the things we think will happen is that real estate will increasingly become liquid. Very small percentage of real estate is liquid today, maybe around 1%. But once this percentage starts growing, it will become important for any real estate developer globally to make their assets liquid, because otherwise they will be unable to compete. So yeah, as mentioned, so real estate, of course, is a massive asset class. It's one of the asset classes that are tokenized by our clients. They also tokenize gold, funds, commodities, infrastructure, and so on. But real estate is definitely the biggest asset class that is being tokenized. It's almost totally illiquid, and it's also almost totally inaccessible for retail investors. So it's ripe for disruption. So our platform covers the entire life cycle of tokenized shares and other types of securities, and has functionality both for issuance, investor management, and trading. A lot of functionality. I will not go into detail. Adam will show some of it in his demo. And of course, you can always schedule a call with us to get more into details with it. And in fact, we also have a demo video running or placed on YouTube, where it's possible to see a lot of the functionality. Real estate.exchange will also be demonstrated today, and we hope that it will become the go-to venue for trading shares in real estate on the blockchain, and hopefully in the future also off-chain. We are launching hopefully in October in the US. We are looking for the first clients to list right now. So if you have US assets or properties that you are tokenizing, get in contact with us if you want to list them on the exchange. We have good offers available for the first assets to list, and we will of course do a lot of marketing in relation to the launch. This will be initially an order book marketplace where you can trade peer-to-peer between wallet to wallet. So each investor self-custodies their tokens and the payment for the tokens. We will give access both to retail and accredited investors, and the partner that we are working with, Texture Capital, will do due diligence on the projects that are listed, and of course there will be a listing fee. It will also be required to have sort of offering documents developed or prepared for the listing, like Reg D form, Reg S form, or something similar to that, in order to be sort of compliant and to be ready to list on the platform. We have quite a roadmap specified for the exchange. The order book version will be launched in the US in Q4, hopefully in October. But we're also working on other versions of the exchange that will be automated market makers. So more sort of DeFi native, decentralized versions of the exchange, where we will have liquidity pools, allowing anyone to provide liquidity and generate yield on this. The AMM has the benefit that it's easier for us to bootstrap liquidity and to use our own native brick token in order to generate liquidity much faster than what we can do on the order book. So it's quite exciting to be able to launch such a highly advanced exchange, DeFi native exchange, hopefully in the UAE, in South Africa, and in the European Union next year. And Anne will be speaking more about sort of the legal challenges of getting this on its way. Of course, eventually we will also be discussing and looking at collateralized lending. It is our belief that This will be possibly equally important as having the trading capability, because it will enable anyone to very efficiently and very quickly to use or to get access to lending facilities for real estate-backed tokens with a few clicks on the mouse. So it'll become extremely efficient and extremely competitive compared to the way that lending is done today, where you go to the bank and you have to wait and you have to go through time-consuming due diligence and so on, and it's sort of not very transparent and not very competitive. So this will be a revolution, I think, when it will come onto the market. We are signing up assets to list right now. We're signing up MOUs. We've got 4 or 5 signed, I think, since yesterday, and we're working with a number of clients in the pipeline to get signed up to list when we launch. We have a lot of functionality, and I will not go through it in detail again. Please book a meeting with us if you want to dig into the platform itself and understand how its capabilities. It is a highly customizable solution. The entire sort of user experience can be customized through an API, but of course it can also be used very easily out of the box and quickly sort of branded to the issuer. We are also the platform is also very flexible. We believe it's one of the most flexible on the market. Has a lot of configuration options. Support different chains, different KYC providers, different payment service providers, different wallets, many different types of wallets, and so forth. So very flexible and customizable. We are working together with Polygon, Polygon's ID team, to create a new standard for decentralized ID. This is quite important because we want to create a standard that is open and independent of any specific vendor in the ecosystem, and something that everyone can use. It's needed, I would say, to bring together a fragmented tokenization ecosystem into a more coherent whole. And of course, it will allow people to reuse KYC so that they don't have to redo their KYC when they jump from one platform to another. And it will sort of allow for a much more sort of interoperable ecosystem, tokenization ecosystem, where hopefully the different ID standards are shared across platforms and make it easier and less expensive for people to jump around across platforms. So this is something we're working on. We have a working group where several parties are participating, and we're pushing forward together with Polygon. Polygon has rebranded their efforts, so it's now called Privado ID, and we are working closely with them on this initiative. Last, I want to say that, of course, we are planning many events for the rest of the year, and you can keep track of this by signing up for our newsletter. September 18, we have a webinar focused on REX, the exchange. September 19, we are focused on tokenization in North America. October 10, we have a masterclass in Dubai. October 16, a webinar on focused on different chains and how they support tokenization. And November 13 on tokenization in Europe. Somewhere in November, we will also have a webinar where we will give a detailed live demo of the platform. So stay tuned and sign up on our newsletter to get information as this is getting announced. Contact us if you're interested to list on the exchange. If you want to speak at, if you want us to speak at your event, we are always interested in that. If you want to have a masterclass in your city, this is also something that we are currently planning for the second half of the year. If you are an equity or token investor, contact us. We are doing different sort of investment rounds at the moment and have different options available. Also, we are planning a new partner program for web consultants, legal firms, investor relations people, and real estate technology firms, resellers, and so on. If you are interested in engaging with us in sort of integrating into our technology or becoming a service partner or referral partner, reach out to us and we will have a discussion with you on how we can collaborate. And I think that's it for me. I can see that there's a few questions from people here, and I will run through them now. Theo is asking whether we are interested in launching in South Africa. In fact, we have a dialogue already with a legal firm in South Africa in order to create an exchange in South Africa that for the African market, and we'll speak more about this when it is her turn to speak. Then we have a question from Remco. He is planning to purchase a property in Spain to rent out and to sell it again after a few years. He needs a few investors to buy the property, and he was thinking of starting a Spanish company to purchase the property with the funds of all investors. So can DigiShares make his project easier? And if so, in what way? We can definitely provide the platform to sort of manage the process of onboarding and engaging investors and having them actually invest into the property. We can also help on the legal side. We have our own legal counsel, of course, who can assist, but we also have legal partners in Spain who knows how to facilitate this. We also have clients in Spain who's done it before and are quite successful with it. So yeah, reach out to us. Let's see how we can help. The only thing I would say that we don't do is investor outreach. We are not licensed to do it, and also it's sort of outside our scope. But we do have partners who can also help with that. So contact us and we can have a discussion. There's a question from Smart Edge. What about India? We also have Indian clients. Umesh from DevX, who was supposed to speak today, is actually an Indian client, so it's too bad that he wasn't able to participate. But stay tuned. I believe that he will speak on one of the following webinars. We have Indian clients. As you may know, the Indian jurisdiction is not so positive towards tokenization, but there are ways around it, and it's also possible as an Indian real estate developer, asset owner, to operate outside India, like from the US, for instance, in order to move forward. So again, we have different sort of options available, and feel free to reach out to us if you want to move forward. Then there's a question here from Andy. Lofty are already deploying similar with the PMM and lending, and is going through difficulties as indeed Goldfinch and other RWA platforms securing genuine collateral. So how are we going to compete with these more established companies having issues? Yeah, I think that I don't think that they are necessarily more established. We have close to 200 clients who are using our platform, so we get access to a lot of assets that we can list on the exchange. So you could say we have good access to the sell side at least. The difficulty is in building up the buy side, and that is a challenge for all of us, right? But we have plans developed for that also, and a marketing budget. So hopefully we can get a sufficient number of traders to sign up. On the I would say provenance side, I would say ensuring that the projects are legitimate, I would say, and sufficiently qualified. We work quite closely with our white label partners, and this is where I think we will see a lot of the first assets to be listed. So we know that they are trustworthy, and they will also be undergoing due diligence by our broker-dealer partner in the US, right? So I'm not so concerned about this, I would say, but of course it is a challenge for everyone in the space, and for anyone, I would see indeed listing different assets on exchanges. Will the slides be available? Yes, they will. We'll share the slides afterwards. Marco says, how about contacting you for working with you and or investing in DigiShares yourself? Yeah, reach out. We can take that discussion. How much does it cost to use DigiShares? We have a simple software as a service price model. We charge an onboarding fee and we charge a monthly recurring fee. covering software licenses and customer service and server hosting and so on. We don't charge any success or performance-based fees. We also don't charge any transaction fees, so it's relatively easy to build your business model on top of us. For the exact numbers, reach out to us and we can give a quote on your specific project. Let's plan for a masterclass in Nigeria. Yes, reach out to us and we'll discuss it. Yeah, there's a question from Tom who has left, but he will watch the remainder of the presentation. He's interested in how we manage RecDS offering documents. Do you offer a document management system? He provides a token documentation service for securing real estate documentation. Maybe this plays into the question of the other that we had just before. These documents help to protect and provide integrity and so on, can help ensure compliance and protect investors. So we should definitely have a discussion with Tom to understand this better. Sounds like a good service. David asked about Ireland. We don't have clients in Ireland right now, I don't believe, maybe one or two. But we see actually significant interest both from the UK and Ireland, and happy to have a discussion, right? So we understand the jurisdiction. We have legal partners as well, so it's definitely doable. Then Armando is asking, how safe is the DigiShares system? Do we have backups in case of hacking or blackout? Yes, we do, and I guess our product manager can speak more to that when it becomes his turn to take over here. So I will end it for me here and stop the sharing, and we can move to the next speaker, who is, let me see. Just a second. The next speaker is indeed our product manager, Adam Blasek, who will give a brief demo of the platform and take more technical questions if you have, and also, of course, explain what has been developed of new functionality recently. So, Adam, please take it forward.
Yeah, hello everyone, and I should be sharing my screen. Just make sure, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, great. Then yeah, I'll just run through a very quick presentation of the platform, talk about all the changes that that we've made. Effectively, it's going to have a very similar flow to the one on YouTube. The difference is I'm going to talk about all the modifications that we've made since the YouTube video was released. And to mention some of the points that Klaus talked about specifically on the customizability of the platform, we have an inbuilt customization menu that you can leverage to recolor the system, change the fonts, change the appearance of the platform. But if you want to go a bit deeper, do more than just skin deep changes, you do have the ability to leverage the APIs that we have. And this is one of the areas where we've made major improvements, where, as you can see, we now also have administrative functions that are present on the API level. Previously, we only focused on the investor side, but from the feedback that we've gotten from the clients is that they would also like to interact with the platform, not only through the APIs, not only from an investor's perspective, but also from an administrator's perspective, because they might already have an existing system that they would like to integrate it into, or simply they would like to build a greater ecosystem, and then we would simply just be a piece of the puzzle rather than the puzzle itself. Most of the admin functions currently are read-only, meaning you can only retrieve data, but upon request, we can also modify them so that you can write data to the system. Back within the platform, the demo here focuses on real estate, but of course you can list any type of asset. You can view the details of a given asset, and the details consists of a picture slideshow. You can also have a PDF be at the forefront of the presentation. You have a title, an investment blurb, a quick overview, and then the details that you've defined for the asset. Besides that, you can also give the ability for investors to download documents. With document downloads, you can also discriminate between investors. So if you're running Reg D, Reg S in parallel, you can control which investors can download which documents. You get the message, the administrator, or proceed with the investment. Alternatively, you can also proceed with the investment directly from the offerings page. I'll just click on the buy button. I have all of my classes of shares listed that I can invest in. And what the platform currently does is it calculates the number of shares that are available and makes sure that there are no locks active during the purchase process. And I have the number of shares available, the price per share. I can have restrictions be active, restrictions such as minimum and a maximum number of tokens that are to be purchased. We can also have a maximum holding amount that one can have. Then I enter the number of shares that I would like to purchase, what currency I'm going to pay in, and then simply proceed with the purchase. The only caveat is that I'm currently doing this with an investor who has already previously whitelisted their address to be able to invest. So I proceed with the investment. I'm then given a document to sign or a set of documents. In this case, I only have the single document where I'm going to scribble my signature in. And one of the modifications that we've made here is the way that we lock and unlock the shares. We've increased compatibility with the various different payment processors. We've received a few notes that custom integrations, they do not always unlock shares correctly, so the purchase goes through. It's just the shares remain locked. And what we've done is we've rewritten the payment system to increase compatibility, and we've now launched that update more than a few weeks now, and we've received nothing but good news. So all smiles there. To complete the payment, all I have to do is click the send payment button, and what that will do is that will communicate with MetaMask and pop MetaMask up. This two-factor payment system allows us to confirm on the system and then also allows us to confirm on MetaMask itself. What then happens is the payment is waiting to be indexed, and as soon as it is, it will take me back into my portfolio where I can wait for the transaction to finish or continue with the demonstration of the platform. And with that, I'm taken back into my portfolio. And effectively what my portfolio does is it simply aggregates all of the information related to the investor with the requests, the investments that they've made. And at the very top, I have all the previously made investments that are currently being calculated. If allowed, the classes of shares, they can also be traded. And this is another area where we've made modifications. If I open a sell order, I can see that the details of the sell order are now improved. This is an optional feature to use. So if fees are introduced on this secondary marketplace, we can detail the individual fees. Or if discounts are present, then we can also detail the discounts, or we can revert back to the previous version that we've had that simply aggregates the info. From an administrator's perspective, the changes are a bit more skin deep, as we have started to move away from the legacy platform that we had. And this also introduces a new look and feel within the administration's view. This is in particular the issuer's view. So I have a new summaries page. I have a new investors page, although I believe the YouTube video also has the new investors page. The reason we've made these changes is so that large number of investors can very easily be traversed. So we have a new filtering function, and we also have a new search function that directly allows me to filter for a specific investor. For example, Brian here. And Brian is going to be a test investor, so I just have to wait a tiny bit for the system to realize that Brian doesn't actually have any KYC info to retrieve. But that also brings about another change that we've made. The system allows you to custom define what an investor consists of. By default, we collect the investor's first name and the last name plus the address info. You can also extend that. And now with the extensions, we also allow you to extend it with files. So you can also allow investor objects, seller objects, or investing entity objects to also have files attached to them if needed. So here is a quick view of what we collect. By default, we have the contact info of the investors, KYC documents if they're stored on the platform, which is only ever really done if no external KYC processor is used, all the documents that they've signed, the activities, and here's the purchase that I've performed with the public key and the amount and the project and the user ID, the current holdings, and the current holdings leads us to the investors' wallets page, which is in progress of being converted into the API format, which is slated to be released sometime next week. This is one of the last major modules that is awaiting the conversion to the APIs, and then you'll also be able to interact with the investor wallets through the APIs if needed. Besides that, we're also looking to soon remaster the share register, make it more interactable, because currently all it is a static page that reloads every single time the page itself is reloaded, where it gathers the information from the blockchain and the local database to make the register. And the register consists of the investor's first name and last name, plus unique ID, class or classes of shares that they hold, the values, the quantity, the amount invested, and the voting power that they have if voting is enabled. At the bottom, we have everything aggregated, and the information here can also be exported via PDF files, JSON files, CSV files, or you can manually build your own share register through the APIs, but we're looking to simplify this very, very soon. The share register is used as the backbone of the system to calculate dividends or distributions. And if I go to that page here, we have the ability to perform payouts either through crypto or fiat through a payment processor. And we have two types of statuses: unfinished ones, meaning future ones, and completed ones. And if I want to, I can very easily look at a completed payment with all the receivers and what the amounts actually are, the shares that they hold and the dividend that was paid out and the status of the payout itself. And again, we have filtering capabilities and search capabilities like we had with the investors. Last but not least, we have the platform admin login. The platform admin login also received a few updates. The platform administrator is the type of administrator that manages the specifications of the platform, specifically, most importantly, the offerings. So they are the ones that create the offerings, create the various different classes of shares. And the architecture of the platform is that we have the platform operator, the main entity that runs the platform, and then the various different offerings that are hosted by the platform operators or by sellers that they've onboarded. And every single offering can be completely unique, not only in its presentation, but also in its share structure. So if I click into the shares of the modern suburban building, since the YouTube video, I've created a few more classes of shares, if not in the modern suburban building, then in the commercial building. And one of the new features that we have with the class of shares is we can now view all of the locks as a platform administrator. So if a lock is introduced, if I just scroll all the way down, I can see all of the purchases that have happened. And if need be, I can also create a custom lock. So let's say I want to create it for 50. Once that is done, an administrator is also assigned to it. And if need be, the administrator can also be viewed directly from the lock itself. This helps the overview of who does what within the platform. And I think I'll stop here to not move the timelines too much. So I'll let the next presenter go on and answer the questions in writing.
Yeah, Adam, there is one question for you, I think, that maybe I could take, right? So from Theo here, does this work fully with fiat payments and distributions? If yes, what are the pros and cons of fiat for investors, the platform administrator, as well as the fundraisers?
Right. So the biggest difference between fiat and crypto, and yes, you can work fully with fiat. We actually have a few clients that work fully in the fiat format, is that you're possibly limiting yourself in the monitoring capabilities of payments, speed. Speed is also a very important factor. Is with payment processors, you're not going to be able to do everything in real time or have the transparency. And if you're performing cross-border payments are they're currently, to our knowledge, there are no payment processors that efficiently do cross-border payments. That's where crypto comes in and saves the day.
Thank you. And then there is also a question here. How do you handle the reverse of dividends, future financial obligations related to ownership? That could be proportional contribution of repairs, property taxes, etc.
So for this, what one of our clients does specifically is they deduct those values from the dividends and reroute them to themselves, that are then used to maintain the property or fill in their financial obligations. That's one way that it could be handled.
Thank you. And there's a couple of questions that I will just take before we carry on. So Nicholas is writing that he's working on a project in Montenegro. Is there a minimum size deal for tokenization? Yeah, there surely is. I would say most of the expenses to tokenize anything is on the first project, right? So if you're doing many projects, I would say 80 or 90% of the expenses are on the first project. Of course, you need to get a platform, you need to get the legal work done, offering documents and so on. And all of that has to be done already on the first project. It's really important for us to make sure that it's affordable to get our platform and to get off the ground, and sort of to also enable tokenization for smaller projects, right? So reach out to us and let's see how we can help. We generally try to work with a lot of legal partners, and we try to push them also on the price. Working with tokenized securities should not be more expensive than working with normal securities. And it's becoming that way in many countries. And we have a lot of legal partners who are price sensitive. So reach out to us and let's see what we can do to help. Otherwise, I would say, of course, there is a minimum size deal, maybe 100,000 or 200,000 euros or something like that. We have clients working with properties around that amount, but of course, they also often have many projects that they want to tokenize. So then there's a question from Marcos. Is there any on-chain third party who verify the quality of the shares that provide to accelerate the secondary market? It's actually a great question, and it's something we are working on together with Chainlink to make sure that we get provenance information, appraisal information on properties from external third parties that are qualified to provide this information. So this is something that we will be working on in connection with realestate.exchange. Of course, it is extremely important, and the infrastructure for it actually exists through companies like Chainlink. Then there's a question from Andy. How is our own token equated to and collated to stablecoins used? So maybe you are referring to the BRIC token that we will use as a native token for the realestate.exchange. This is a utility token. It's not a stable coin. It will have a volatile value. It will be issued and sold in different ways, and it will have utilities on the realestate.exchange. And I think that Martin, who is the next speaker, can maybe go a little bit more into that in his presentation. So let's turn over the word to Martin, lead developer on the realestate.exchange project, to give a demo of the platform and describe where we are at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Klaus. I'll just share my screen. And essentially, wait, I just need to check if I'm full screen. No. Yes, now it should be all right. So yeah, I can definitely later touch upon the the BRIC token and the AMM version of real estate.exchange. But now I will give a short presentation of the order book version, which is in collaboration with Texture Capital. And so first, a disclaimer, the platform is still under development, meaning that anything you see might be subject to change. And here we are first welcome on the login/registration page. And essentially the only thing you need for login or registration is a wallet. Now you might ask, what if I don't have a wallet? Well, right now we also integrated social logins, meaning that you can either use your email, Google account, X, Apple account, and you can simply just log in with this. And what does this do is that it creates a wallet for you, meaning that the wallet is essentially created as a smart wallet, and it's tied to your either social login or your email address. And what is great about this is that afterwards, if you want to self-custody the wallet yourself, you can just export it and have it in your MetaMask. The next thing we provide is Wallet Connect, meaning that if you have a wallet in your phone and you don't want to move wallets to your browser, you can just scan this QR code and the same way get connected to the platform, or you can copy it. And then if you have any preferences in wallets, we support over 420 wallets from which you can choose and you want to use. In this demo, I will be using the MetaMask wallet, which is an injected wallet into my browser, and I will simply log in as an investor. So yeah, I will choose this investor account. And one important thing is it's not only about connection, right? Because after you connect, you also need to sign a message that this wallet is a wallet which you own, meaning that you are interacting with the wallet right now. So in this case, we will sign the transaction. I mean, not sign the transaction, but sign the message. This is completely off-chain. And now we are welcome to the trading page. Now, at the top, there's a big unverified button, and this is the KYC process, essentially. So this means that after you log in or register, you need to be first verified to start trading. So in the first version of Real Estate.exchange, we'll be using SamSub as a KYC provider. But as Klaus was already mentioning, we are working on a decentralized ID standard called Ditto, decentralized ID for tokenization. And this way, the verifiable credential, which is issued by KYC providers, can be reused from different platforms, meaning that you don't have to KYC in the same platform. I mean, in multiple platforms the same way, but you just reuse the credential from a verified KYC provider and you use it here. So essentially, the login should be 3 clicks. Now here we have the listed tokens, and in the asset page, we can also feature some assets. Later on, there will be also a list of all the assets there are in the platform. Next things are obviously notifications, meaning that if you, let's say, open a swap or place an order, you will get a notification here and also in your email that you are ready to finalize the swap. And the next thing is you can check out your account. And one interesting thing is that you can switch networks and also buy crypto. What does this mean is that, let's say you join the platform and the token pairs, for example, the real estate is tied to a USDC stablecoin, right? But in your wallet, you don't have one yet. This means that through the platform, you can choose, for example, the Coinbase provider, simply just log in and buy the needed USDC, which you need for the swap itself. And that will go directly into your wallet. So this is essentially on-ramping on the platform. Then you can also obviously check your activity of what you received and so on. And yeah, lastly, there are also options to swap. You can either pay with real estate tokens or you can pay with USDC. It depends if you are buying or selling, right? So in this case, I will just choose I'm paying with real estate tokens, so I'm essentially buying USDC or selling those real estate tokens, and now my order was placed. This order placing means that our partner, Texture Capital, now will get this order and it will verify it. since it is an ATS. And yeah, lastly, you can check your past orders if they were canceled or settled and so on. And yeah, then you can see the performance of the current selected real estate token. And this will be all for the demo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's no questions. So let's move on to the next speaker, which is our legal counsel, Anne, who will be speaking about the different licenses we are trying to get to run the exchange in different corners of the world. So your turn, Anne.
Yes. Am I sharing my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, as Klaus already mentioned, I'm Anne. I represent the legal counsel at DigiShares, and today I'll present on the European blockchain sandbox and some of the licensing that we have going on at the moment. So to start off with the European blockchain sandbox, or EBS, some of you may know, DigiShares was selected to be a part of the second cohort for the EBS. The EBS essentially is an initiative by the European Commission in order to promote DLT projects within the EU. So it's a framework that allows different regulators and blockchain innovators or DLT innovators to engage in a regulatory dialogue. So different companies or organizations can submit their project, and then they'll be selected and matched up with different regulators in order to discuss some kind of legal issue. And we've done that this year for the second cohort with submitting REX, or a real estate exchange, where our use case would be the licensing of the real estate exchange. So what kind of license we should get? Should it be within MiCA only, or MiFID, more of the traditional financial regulations as well? Those are the legal issues that we'll be discussing during our time at the European Blockchain Sandbox. And so far, we've been selective. We've had a few meetings with the people behind the sandbox and the partnering law firm, the Bird & Bird, who are facilitating the regulatory dialogues between the regulators and the innovators. So far, we just had the meetings, and over the summers, the Bird & Bird will match us up with the regulators that are relevant and would like to partner up with us. And then following the summers, we'll have the regulatory dialogues where we discuss the use case and the licensing. And of course, from our side, the end product would be all the knowledge that we gain from it, different licensing requirements, other legal questions that we may have. And from their side, they will make a best practice report from all the different projects from each cohort. And I believe the best practice report for the first cohort has already been released. So the cohort from last year, which everyone can read. And then I believe the next best practice report will probably be published in around a year. So yes, that was a bit about the blockchain sandbox.
Working in progress.
So now to the next, the regulatory licenses that we're working on at the moment. As we've already stated, we're planning on launching our real estate exchange in the US around Q3, Q4 of this year. We're doing this with the Texture and ATS in the US, where we're partnering up with. Besides this, we're also planning to launch in the UAE, South Africa, and the EU, of course. The UAE launch will most likely be around the first half of 2025, alongside our South African launch, whereas our EU launch will take a bit longer. Of course, it's also dependent on the European blockchain sandbox timeline. So that'll probably happen sometime in the second half of 25. And so just to provide an overview of the UAE, South African, EU jurisdictions, what specifically we're planning for the licenses. Well, if I start off with the UAE, we've decided on Dubai as the jurisdiction of choice because we have a quite good relationship with the regulators there. VAR, as some of you may know. We're currently discussing with VAR what license we should go for. So far, we're thinking of doing the broker-dealer license, and we're partnering up with very established consultant companies to help us with the licenses process. Similarly, in South Africa, we're also partnering up with the local consultants / law firms named Schindler's X, who are not only experts within blockchain security tokens and the like, but also traditional financial regulation. So we're partnering up with them in order to get an exchange license, and it will be based in Johannesburg. Now, lastly, we will also be opening up in the EU, of course, with the European Blockchain Sandbox as a starter. It'll probably be in Denmark, since DigiShares within the EU's headquarters is in Denmark. And the license will be under MiCA, MiFID, MiFIR. That's something we're still discussing. Yeah, so this was just briefly about the European Blockchain Sandbox and the different kinds of licenses that we're working on at the moment. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Anne. There's actually one question here for you.
Yes.
This is from Anonymous, who's asking, we have a dormant CASP license in South Africa. This is one way you could be licensed within weeks. Would purchasing such a license be something you consider? You could consider, right? Can you respond to that in relation to what we're already doing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we already have legal partners who have, presented the CASP license for us. However, when doing an exchange license, we're still considering what kind of token will be released, and a lot of these security tokens are under traditional financial regulation, meaning that you can't just get a crypto asset service provider license, but you'll also need to get a license within traditional financial regulations, which is what we're going through at the moment with Schindler's, probably going for the exchange license that allows us to also trade with tokens that can be categorized as securities.
There's a follow-up question, I think, from the same person. In the UAE, why a broker-dealer and not an issuer license?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's also a question I posed to the regulators myself. Based on the business model and the way the tokens are being distributed and not necessarily issued, they recommended that we go with a broker-dealer license instead. Hope this answers your question.
All right. There's a question more. I'm not sure it's for you or for me. Are most projects likely to be whitelisted or limited companies in silos? That's a good question. I think it's too early to say. I would say probably yes, but yeah, I don't think we know at this stage, frankly. So that's as good as we can say. Then we have a question from Ben. What advantages does DigiShares hold over current incumbents in the fractionalized ownership space, such as Stake Dubai, who operate without blockchain? Stake are regulated by DFSA. Will DigiShares need to be regulated by DFSA, or is it a different process as is a digital asset? So maybe you can take the last part, Anne.
Yep. So on the Rex platform, I'm not sure if it's a question about Rex or DigiShares, but since it mentions the UAE, I assume it's Rex. Well, since we are operating a real estate exchange on blockchain or DLT, and we are also issuing tokens that are not just purely securities, but also utility tokens and stable coins and the like, it will be under the authority of VAR, which is why we're being regulated with them.
And to the other question, right? So what is the benefit of tokenization over normal traditional fractionalization? I think there's a couple of benefits. One is that the users can self-custody their tokens and can do stuff with them outside the platform, right? So as user of a tokenization platform, you become part of an entire ecosystem, right? You're not siloed. You can use your tokens in other places as the ecosystem develops, and in that way you'll get a lot more value out of it. I think that is a primary advantage. Another advantage could be that, as I understand it, it's difficult for non-tokenized fractionalization platforms to facilitate trading because they cannot easily do an atomic swap. So they will have some kind of counterparty risk when they offer trading because they don't have sort of self-custody of the payment and the asset itself, right? So the users will have to rely more on the trust, on trusting the underlying platform than they will on a tokenized platform. So that's at least a couple of comments. But yeah. Let's move forward to the next speaker. Thank you, Anne. And now I am proud to present one of our clients, Scott Thiel from TokenVest. Scott is a futurist, multi-jurisdiction qualified and experienced lawyer, former managing director, general counsel, responsible officer for regulated virtual assets business, fintech entrepreneur, business executive, experienced team manager, value creator, passionate public speaker, and an industry thought leader. He's held several leadership positions in the world's largest law firm, been entrusted as an advisor to many of the biggest global enterprises, and founded 3 blockchain startups until now. He's also been a director on Hedera LLC for more than 5 years, been an observer for 2 years on the HBAR Foundation Board, and a Hedera Governing Council representative for 7 years. And then he's been the founder and managing director of Toko, enterprise-grade tokenization and digital assets management platform, which secured the first full market broker-dealer and exchange services, VASP licenses, and was responsible for helping Toko to structure the world's first debt tokenization transaction. Quite an impressive background, and I'm proud to present Scott here today, and looking forward to hearing your presentation, Scott. Take it away.
Thanks very much, Klaus. Great to be here. I'm calling in from Thailand tonight, taking the opportunity, as many do, to escape the heat of Dubai summer, where I'm now based. So in the context of what we're doing now, so I am a co-founder with Matt Blom, who is our Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of TokenVest, and we are it was quite interesting to hear the previous speaker and some of the questions. We are going to be a VARA-regulated real-world asset tokenization play. Pleased to be working with DigiShares as our back office sort of technology suite to support the full life cycle of token creation, broker-dealer portal and marketplace solutions. Very happy to take questions as they come in as well. One of the other things that I think are relevant perhaps to this topic and some of the questions I heard coming in at the end of the last speaker, I was previously a senior partner in a global law firm and was part of the team that actually wrote the VARA regulatory framework. So I spent much of 2022 working on developing the framework that we're now operating under, and so I have a good working knowledge of how it hangs together, its differences and distinctions from other markets, and the reason why we've decided to locate TokenVest in Dubai and seek the VARA licensing is because of the sort of ground up approach that regulator has taken to virtual assets, regulatory oversight and support for the industry. I guess from a TokenVest perspective, and a little bit of kind of our sweet spot and where we play. We're not a crypto project. We don't have our own native crypto token. We are potentially going to do our own tokens in due course, but they won't be the kind of utility type crypto or governance tokens. They would be themselves regulated security tokens. Where the types of projects we're working on with asset owners and issuers is very much in the real world asset tokenization space. So fractional interests in a range of asset classes, particular focus around real estate, for a lot of reasons, including that the large bite size that real estate investment typically requires. It is the largest asset class on the world, in the world. In the context of Dubai, it's a very dynamic and active part of the market, more broadly in the economy. And it's also, I think, an asset class that is very aspirational. So much of what we're focused on is really aspirational, on the investor side of our platform, those aspirational assets. How do I own a piece of one of those? Is kind of a question we often ask when we're working with issuers to try and bring products that people want to buy that for whatever reason they cannot buy today. We see tokenization and the use of blockchain technology combined with the comprehensive VARA framework as being a means by which we can actually solve that problem. I spent a number of years wrestling with how do you bring a security token to market in a cost-effective manner? How do you make it available to a very broad range of investors? And the truth is, at this point in time, that most jurisdictions still haven't got a good answer to that question. I've worked on tokenized reward asset projects in markets including the US, Canada, UK, mainland Europe, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, the Middle East. And really, it's very challenging to bring a tokenized security to market under existing traditional finance regulations. And so this is where it was very interesting to be part of the team that brought the VARA framework into being. And we're now looking to leverage that framework with, we're in late stages of our licensing process, hoping to have that license finalized, the full market license finalized in a matter of a few weeks. And then we'll be bringing, the first tokenized reward assets to market by the end of the year. I think one of the, speaking about sort of our why DigiShares, there's obviously quite a lot of technology solutions that have emerged in recent times in this space. And there is a fair degree of variance between them. I think what's really important for the solutions that we want to bring to market, where we made our decision around working with DigiShares, was the full token life cycle elements. There are different pieces of the puzzle, and there are different technologies out there that are very good at different pieces. But in truth, in order to actually make a financing product in digital form, truly valuable to both the asset owner, issuer, and also the investors, it has to deal with the complete token life cycle. And so, obviously, virtual asset creation, the distribution of that asset and the onboarding of investors, through a brokerage portal, the integrated AML KYC solutions, the integration of payments components so that settlement for the purchase of assets can occur, integration with either our own or third-party custodial solutions, and we're working with a regulated third-party custodian in Dubai. And then the secondary market. So having a solution where investors can actually take their assets and put them onto a marketplace or exchange that enables them to trade those things so that they have liquidity. The vast, I see, the vision, I guess, behind, the kind of our purpose statement for Tokenvest is very much, focused on the more alternative asset classes. I see two distinct things happening in the world of real-world asset tokens. One is the digital transformation of existing financial products, and in many respects, that's a process improvement play. And we see things around the world like the BlackRock kind of Biddle funds and things of that nature, where they're using well-known, traditional assets such as treasuries, but then putting a tokenized digital wrapper on those things to enhance accessibility, transparency, and ultimately liquidity as well. And that's having some really interesting benefits. We've been doing some analysis of who's using and who's buying and why are people buying those assets, particularly on a short-term basis to earn short-term yield, parking money overnight and things of that nature. So quite interesting what's happening in that space. That's probably not the area we're mostly focused in on. What we're really focused in on is assets that are currently illiquid or difficult to acquire. So things like real estate or rare and expensive assets, whether that's artwork or vintage cars, things that people would like to own a piece of, but are unable to because of the price or the accessibility of that asset. So these are the types of projects where we're looking to bring to market. Really important that we've been thinking about the distribution side of the business. Many projects that we're seeing launching around the world have perhaps not fully considered the distribution channels, and it's this awkward transitional period that we're going through as traditional finance, which has well-known distribution networks and investor networks, is still wary of and not really adopting DLT technology, whereas the kind of newer businesses such as ourselves, who have a real focus on bringing different shaped assets to market, different tokenomics models to market, but don't have long-standing deep pools of investors, and so there is this kind of slightly uneasy standoff. And we've been working very hard on our strategy around ensuring that the assets that we bring to market for our issuer clients are going to result in a successful raise and a successful deployment, and then ultimately successfully trade on the secondary marketplace. So that's kind of the ambition of what we're doing. Are there any questions coming in, Klaus? I can keep talking, but if there were any questions coming in, I'd very happily take those as well.
Not yet. Okay, but I urge everyone to put your questions in the Q&A.
Actually, I've just opened up the chat, so I think that's where the Q&A is. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on that. Let me just share an example. So I'm here in Thailand at the moment, and have been working with an interesting client that's a high-end real estate developer. As it happens, I'm staying at a timeshare facility here, which I've had for 25 years. It's a great example of fractional real estate ownership under old school rules. And I'm coming back to that question that was asked at the end of the last speaker. What's the difference, and what would make tokenization different to traditional? The reality of timeshares is that they were structured as utility rights to avoid being categorized as regulated financial instruments or securities. And as a result, they were able to be sold to everybody, including retail investors. One of the nuances around most regulatory frameworks is that securities, financial instruments, can't actually be bought and sold by everybody. They can only be bought by, there are lots of different definitions of accredited, professional, qualified investors, but they all boil down to one thing: they can only be bought by rich people with a lot of money in the bank. And our vision around the democratization of finance is around opening that up to all people. And so this is where the traditional timeshare model was very much limited to, you can buy an interest in a particular property, but that interest really is, you can come once a year and spend a week, and most likely your ability to sell your interest is at a loss, or in fact non-existent. They're just not very liquid, and that really is designed around the realities of traditional financial regulation and traditional structures around acquiring a share. Again, pointing to the question that was asked around the stake model in Dubai. That is a DFSA crowdfunding regulated model, where a corporate entity acquires a property, and then the fractional interest is acquired through buying a share in that company, which is fine, and it's a way of acquiring a fractional interest, but it's a fairly onerous structure to have to put in place around fractionalization. The other side of real estate is the investment component, where you could invest in property, and there are, again, looking at traditional financial models around things like REIT structures, where you can have a fractional piece of a range of real estate assets that might be inside a REIT, or you can invest in a real estate fund, for example, by buying a unit in a fund. These are traditional kind of regulated financial products where you can get exposure to the financial performance of the underlying real estate assets. But those two worlds, the kind of utility functionality of a timeshare and the financial exposure to a real estate asset through something like a fund or a REIT, have never really mixed historically, because of the way regulation has happened, and because of the way that those industries have grown up. What we're now able to do with a combination of DLT technology and new regulatory frameworks such as VARA is to actually hybridize these things. So we're now able to create a tokenized interest. My background as a lawyer, and I guess the question I often get asked is why would a lawyer be involved in creating a, the first business I built in this space was very much a pure tokenization engine play. And I was often asked, why is a lawyer creating a blockchain token engine? How does that work? Well, I actually saw the tokenization as really the digital transformation of law, of the industry. So the business of putting rights in paper-based contracts, you now can put those same rights into a token. And once they're in that digital form, you can then put them into fractional pieces. You can break them up, you can trade them, you can collateralize them, you can do more things than you can do with a single two-party contract that is signed and then put in a drawer. So this is really kind of the origins of what was doing and why I started on this journey. But what we can now do in terms of tokenization is create hybrid products that really mix things like financial investment rights with utility. So we could bring to market an interest in a real estate project that maybe gives you the ability to stay for a certain period of time, or to get discounted stays, or to get a discount at the bar, or whatever else might be happening in a particular hospitality venue. But you also have a genuinely liquid financial instrument with all the protections of it being a regulated financial instrument. And I think that's where it's going to get really, really interesting, where we start having consumer engagement and retail participation mixed with genuine financial investment. And that's what I see as one of the real great benefits of both the technology and the regulatory framework coming together. Sorry, check 2 questions in Q&A. I'm not sure. So I'm looking at the wrong section here. 2 questions. Let me jump into these. So you mentioned fractional ownership and someone else mentioned stake. Is this something you're looking to manage yourself or partnering with an existing player? That is a really interesting question. Thank you, anonymous attendee. I'd really appreciate a reach out afterwards if you'd be interested in a conversation. The answer is potentially both. There is the opportunity for us to effectively, either ourselves or through a nominee structure, start becoming an acquirer of assets and then distributing those as in fractional interest. And that's something we're looking at. The other option is to work with existing players who are either have real estate assets or are building real estate assets, for example, who would now like to participate in doing fractional distributions and using us as the regulated virtual assets broker to do that. So yeah, it's a great question, and something we've actually been wrestling with over the last 3 or 4 weeks as we look at the different options. We're definitely open to both those models, and I'd very, very happily have a conversation offline if that would be of interest. Thanks. Next question, Andy. Distribution is so important. What's your strategy to bring investors to tokenization RWA play? Again, as I alluded to, a lot of things we're doing with that. But for one, we're quite careful, particularly in the early stages of our business, around the nature and type of asset issuer that we'll be working with. So there are lots of great ideas out there at this point in time, but bringing an idea that's perhaps brand new, that's never been seen before, from a new company that doesn't have an existing portfolio of customer purchases, I think is going to be quite difficult in the early stages of this journey. So we are looking at working with asset owners, issuers who have existing customer bases, existing brand, existing reputation. And so what this becomes is hey, you can buy something that looks like what you're used to buying from us, but you can now buy it in this, smaller bite size or fractional or different form. So that's an example of our strategy around ensuring that we have eyes on product for particular offerings. We've also, I don't know if people have seen, we've also announced a partnership with one sort of next generation DEX protocol that we're working with. So this is a decentralized exchange that's been set up in a regulated manner to try and access the more Web3 native crowd by offering decentralized exchange access to real world asset tokens. There's a bit of work to be done, including from a regulatory perspective around that, but that's going to bring in the more crypto native, crypto degen kind of investor crowd as they start to look at, we're used to owning crypto, but maybe our maybe our conversion back to something less high risk isn't back to a stable coin, it's back to, you know, a real estate backed token, for example, or something of that nature. So there are a number of different facets to it, to the way we've been looking at this question. And yeah, happy to take offline questions on that. Classes, there's one more here. Have I got time to carry on with that?
Last one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you be looking to further expand your processes to extend a more mutual society-based approach where membership could be utilised to maximise regulatory flexibility and participate in project proposal creation? Yeah, fantastic question. This is exactly the kind of social ecosystem kind of community-orientated nature of the projects that we'd love to see more of. I was actually on a LinkedIn live podcast with Charles Adkins, the president of Hedera, last night, and he was speaking about projects involving community engagement in investing in local assets. For just as an example of, I think this. The reason being, if your local community is investing in things like the local community centre, and you limit the ability of investors in the first instance to people who live within 5 miles of it, for example, you're actually now creating this kind of positive social impact, for example. Now, it's just one example that I happen to have been, you know, talking with Charles about in the last 24 hours, but absolutely interested in that kind of mutual society, more you know, consortia-based membership approach to investing and indeed asset owning and issuing. So yeah, absolutely, very interesting question. Conscious of time, Klaus, that might be it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Scott. It was a great pleasure to have you here. Always exciting to hear your story. Thank you very much, and we'll move over to the next speaker, the last speaker of the day, and I'm equally proud to present Przemysław. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Pamula, the co-founder and head of operations at Zuma. Przemysław has been the CEO of Monitor.pl, a serial investor in the real estate industry. He owns his own investment portfolio and is the owner of Rentwise.pl, property management company for rental properties. He actively collaborates with investors from all over Poland. So, Przemysław, thank you very much for joining here today on a short notice. You replaced the other speaker that we lost due to an accident. He's fine, I think, but he couldn't speak. So thank you very much for coming here on a short notice, and looking forward to hear your presentation. And actually, I left the 2 questions also that we were asked before, because I think they are equally relevant for you. So you can maybe take those also when you are done speaking. Thank you.
So thank you for your invitation. I hope I will say some closer things about our new project. Our new project is project Zuma. We are based in Denmark, and we are making the tokenization of some assets. I will tell more about these assets around the Central Europe. So we are now focusing on the Polish market for now. I'm coming from the Polish market because I'm coming from this real world assets, and then we tried with our co-workers and other founders put this real estate to this blockchain market for now. So I'm coming from this real estate market. I've got a couple of projects that we've made traditionally. So I've got also quite a big community in Poland. It is 31,000 people in this application Monitor.pl. It enables to search for the properties in Poland. And we are also making projects that are like a crowdfunding for these bigger properties. So we are buying a large property with lots of people, but there are a lot of limitations for now. So we can do it in 10, 15 people to buy one property. But it's quite challenging to all this paperwork and things. So we're looking for the solution for that. and we, as my other founder is into the crypto, he said, yes, we should go to this tokenizing market. So we found also our partners, DigiShares, who also help us to do all this process. And finally, after researching many markets in Europe, we found out that quite a good market to start is Denmark. And the thing for the company is to to put the technology in front of this like manual process. But our goal is to do it fully compliant, fully legal, and transparent. So that's we are talking to the lawyers and trying to apply for the licenses that will allow us to do it, because we want to do it fully legally. And then to offer to our customers to do it like in the more futuristic way, the tokenization way, to do the same model, like to also like make this crowdfunding through buying the tokens for our customers. So the other like branch of our company is also to make focus on digitalizing renewable energy, such as photovoltaic farms and energy storages. Among our customers, there are also people that are possessing lands that when they can put these photovoltaic farms, and we will also like to crowdfund it or sell it through the tokenization market. So people can buy a part of such photovoltaic farm, and then also we thought that our tokens will have these dividends. So not only buying and possessing, but also buying and having dividends from these photovoltaic farms or energy storages, and also from this building that we buy. Sometimes we just keep this building, and this building is managed by our company, and the dividends is put to this all these crowdfunding people. And the goal is to do it via tokenization, so people who can get the dividends from part of some building or part of some flat. And for now, we've got customers, and we are actively talking with our potential customers that want to go into this tokenization from other buildings, from photovoltaics, and the total sum is now around 500,000 euros. So it's quite a big sum to tokenize. And that's it. We are just starting. We just set this Denmark company, and now we are just starting. It's not just starting. We are making these legal compliances and talking with lawyers for almost a year now. So it's quite a long process, but we want to make it fully legal, fully compliant, and transparent in Europe. Do you have any questions?
So thank you very much, Przemysław. There's actually, I left the two questions that Scott also responded to before. So the first question, you can see them in the Q&A. The first question is basically, distribution is so important. What is your strategy to bring in investors for your tokenization play?
Yeah, our strategy is just to copy same thing that we are doing on the real estate, but to the tokenization market. So we've got lots of potential customers, quite a large community. But the problem is that getting to buy, for example, one big building, it's very limited for now. We can sell like 10, 15 tickets for this participating, but using the technology, we can bring them like a fraction of this, so we can fraction it on whatever shares we want.
All right. Thank you. The second question is, and I guess you can read it yourself also. So again, so how would you be looking to further expand your processes to include a more mutual society-based approach with membership to maximize regulatory flexibility, participate in project creation?
So there are like two sides. One side is we are actively talking with customers that have their own projects also, not only our project, but also the other projects that are, for now, they are in Poland. So in one side, we've got these customers that input the projects, and the other side, we've got the community that will have a power to, for example, buy such a like premises or some flats or buildings. So we are making it both sides.
Last question for you is how do you charge the customer? If you
Do
want
we
to
charge
reveal
customers? Yeah. So there are also two parts. So one part is the investor that want to participate with his own projects. So we are making this entry fee for him and setting up the project fee. And the other side, the people who are buying these shares, we are taking some percentage from the share that is bought.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that concludes the webinar of today. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you, Przemysław, for speaking, and thank you to the other speakers. It's been a pleasure to have everyone here today, and thank you for the great questions. The presentation has been recorded. We will share everything in due course, probably next week, and you can stay tuned on our newsletter to see the next events that we will be organizing, and sometimes and hopefully we will come to a city near you in the future. And thank you very much for today.